Hello, moderators. Just wanted to real quick show you these two extensions and why I think they're awesome and could make your experience moderating using Reddit better, save you some time, and collaboratively save us all time. So they're both a little different. Just real quick, I will pump through kind of the key features that I think are the best. So RES, Reddit Enhancement Suite. Right now I have the Collapse subreddit up in two tabs. This one on the left has the extensions enabled, and this one on the right doesn't. The biggest difference right now is this one is not using the default subreddit style. So I use old Reddit. A lot of subreddits have custom CSS for changing the look of their subreddit. A lot of them suck. There's no way to really easily turn it off. Fortunately, with RES, I can just uncheck this box and it will give me the clean, vanilla old Reddit experience. Some Reddits especially are really bad for this, so I use it quite a bit. I don't use the style that I've implemented on our Collapse subreddit, even though I designed it. I just still prefer the old subreddit, the old default one. RES also has a fairly sophisticated night mode for new Reddit and old Reddit. So as you can see, even if I turn the style on, it forces it into night mode, which I prefer. There's another feature, which is a fast account switching. I'm not going to click on it because you would see all my accounts. But if I click on this, I can just click one more time from my list of accounts and immediately switch to it. If I'm using alts or I just want to view a subreddit as not a moderator. I'm going to show you the RES settings in here. There are a ton of settings. There's a ton of settings. I'm just going to show you one real simple one here. Filter Reddit, which lets you filter out posts based on keywords from anywhere on Reddit or just particular subreddits. So currently I'm taking a vacation from these individuals and their political posts on the Collapse subreddit. I just don't feel like looking at them. So I currently have it set to do that. I don't want to see this individual's name anywhere on Reddit, so I just remove it. And there's no other way to do that. My brain feels much better for knowing that I don't have to look at that anywhere on Reddit, no matter how much I use it. So other features are the live preview of posts and comments. So new Reddit kind of does this, but I don't think old Reddit does at all. I'm getting a live preview of my texts beneath it, right? If I want to help me format what I'm doing. There's some small things like showing the images or all of the inline elements within anywhere. So like if I go to my popular feed, or the popular feed, right, I can click, or on any subreddit, I can click show images, and basically it's just showing me all the inline content. And I don't have to open it. It looks more like new Reddit, essentially. But I have a lot more control if I want to look at it all at once. The last thing I'll mention that I don't use as frequently but is super powerful is the user tagger. So every username has this little button next to it, and I can add a tag that only I will see, and I can colorize it with whatever context I want. And that lets me pick that user out then no matter where they post or comment on Reddit. If there's someone that I really like or someone that's problematic, it just kind of lets me know, oh, hey, I recognize this person. And if I see them in the wild or in some community I really frequent, I use it quite a bit, but you wouldn't notice because you're not seeing those people in the popular feed. Okay, Toolbox. I'm just gonna segue over, and you're probably already seeing a bunch of buttons that you wouldn't normally. I'm just gonna focus on this window. Removal reasons. So this is a feature that's shared across moderators within the Toolbox settings. I'll show you it on our Collapse first. If I go to remove a post, it automatically brings up a list of setup templates for helping me remove them. So if I check this button, if I check this box, because this is why I want to remove it for rule 2, it's going to make a post citing that rule and then automatically remove the posts. And then down here I can control whether Do I want to also lock the comment because I don't want the user to respond to it? Do I only want to send it to them as a PM? Do I want to not give them a reason at all, right? Or do I want to cite multiple reasons? And we for example, in Collapse, we're even able to do variations of removal templates. For example, when we remove certain things that are off topic, sometimes we want to send that person to a particular subreddit. Collapse support is a good example. If someone's having a tough time, we want to say, hey, you're not completely like shit out of luck. Like, go over to Collapse support. That's a good idea. Or, get your dirty politics out of here and go over there. Great way to add some nuance to your removal reasons and have it only take you 3 clicks to facilitate removing something. I don't want to ever have to type something again. And I very rarely do, only if it's a special case. Saves a whole bunch of time. Don't want to cancel and approve that post. I have already loaded in the removal reasons for Toolbox on RF UFOs based on the existing rules. So you can use those to your heart's content already. No work required. Toolbox also adds a bunch of buttons next to users. So try to find out. Okay, this is a generic user. The key thing, this is one of the biggest things, user notes. So if I click this N, I can add a user note. I can move this box around, and I could say they're a great contributor, and I can pick what color or type of user note I'm adding, which is this. I'm going to say this is a green one, and I'm going to save this. And then what happens is this adds a tag that shows up everywhere instantly for all moderators and only moderators. It doesn't show up for users. And it adds context to that user and a significant event, significant enough that I've decided to leave a user note. What ends up happening is usually when you remove a post or a comment or you see a really good one, you add a user note, and that adds context and a history of that user's interactions throughout the subreddit. So I'm going to remove this one real quick. I'm going to show you this user with 5 user notes. They have a 5 next to their name. They've got a whole history of different types of things going on. This is a very popular user. I accidentally clicked the username, so it brought me to their profile. Just give it a second for it to load. So I can click on these timestamps and go to the comment that warranted this particular warning. If I want to look at the context for more detail, this was in ModMail, so I'm not going to bother digging into it. But if I see this user break another rule, I can then use all this context to leverage my decision for how long that ban should be, or whether I should give them a second chance or not, or if they've been a good contributor in the past. Completely unrealistic if you have a very large subreddit and you aren't paying laser-like attention to every action that every other mod has taken, or you're not familiar with every user in the subreddit. I mean, it's just kind of unrealistic on large subreddits. I don't know how you would leverage it otherwise unless you were paying an incredible amount of attention. And the good thing is that this also allows a completely new moderator to come in and look at that previous context and where it comes from. And the more that you feed into it, the better that it gets. The more users get tagged, the more context that is built. You really only need it for problematic users, or I think for good users. If you want to be able to identify, oh, hey, I should probably pay attention to what this person says. I mean, it just so happens that this is a moderator giving another moderator this great flair, but we usually do that to each other, kind of joke around. Amazing system. It looks like there are just a few user notes that were created over a year ago on our UFOs, but no one really leaned into it. So I'm going to start using it just for myself. It's one of the few features that only one moderator can use and still get something out of, but it's sort of exponential the more that people bleed into it. Anyway, rambled on that enough. These other buttons are pretty great. You can very quickly ban a user, leave a moderator note to let other moderators know why you issued the ban, indicate to the user why they were banned, and then set the amount of time or days that you would like to ban them. Very quick, very easy. You can do some other things up here, but I don't use those as much. You can also click on this H and see a very concise history analysis of that user's account. So I can see what other subreddits they posted in, where they got what percentage of their karma. It's pretty what you see is what you get, but really, really great if I have a problematic user that I think is spamming and I want to evaluate where they're coming from and where else they might be posting. Super helpful. The last thing I've kind of glossed over is this toolbar is Toolbox, basically. The sort of configuration options are over here, and there's a bunch of features that I can adjust to configure kind of how these buttons work and how the queue works. A ton of really super power usery stuff that's fantastic just for moderators. But what I love is just having this concise notification bar to show me how many items are in each queue. So some of these are redundant, but for the icons up here, but it's persistent, right? No matter where I've scrolled down, I can see how many personal messages I have, how many items are waiting in mod mail. This is the general mod queue, so all the posts that are reported or flagged by automod. This is the unmoderated queue, which so both of these are at 100 because they're maxed out. 100's as high as they go. The amount of items in the queues for our UFOs is so high that it's maxing them out. But before I joined as a moderator, they weren't as high. You can set these buttons. If I click on this, it makes more sense. You can set these buttons to filter out certain subreddits. So, like, for example, I don't have them set to look at these two other subreddits I moderate. But I'm not going to turn our UFOs off. Ideally, the number of items in both those queues is low enough that the number actually means something, right? But currently in our UFOs, our mod queue goes back a couple weeks. So, the other thing is for RES is you get never-ending Reddit, so I can just scroll down endlessly. I don't have to click on pages like a monkey. Pretty great for just me. As soon as I open Reddit, no matter where I am, not only can I see things as they pop into the queue because I get the notifications for it, or I see the indicator down there, but I can tell, when I open Reddit, how much work is sitting there if I want to contribute to it, or if there's any work at all. The unmoderated queue really isn't being used. This is another shared feature that I would love to rant about or elaborate on, because it's probably it has the most potential for us to save time, but it requires everyone to invest in. It's not like user notes where one person can kind of get the same effort that they would put into it. Excuse me. I'm going to explain what it is in case people don't know what it is, since it's pretty significant. I think everyone should at least know what it is if we get to a point where we want to actually lean into it. So the unmoderated queue is identical to going to the subreddit and hitting new and then looking through the posts, except there are moderator buttons. And what happens is when you approve a post, like I'll go down here and look at something that's got a bunch of upvotes. Like, yeah, that's probably like, I actually want to listen to that. I'm excited to listen to that. I'm going to approve this post. What this does is when I approve it, it removes it from the unmoderated queue. That means I looked at this post. Okay, so I also have it set so that when I approve a post, it automatically ignores reports for it. That means we're assuming I have good enough understanding of the rules such that if a user reports this post, we should trust my review of it more than their report. Now, if I'm not sure, I can uncheck this, or I cannot have that set. I cannot have it set to do that, right? And when I'm in here, I can still look at any reports that have popped in for any particular posts. So they're saying, hey, there's a bunch of things about this in the last hour. I'm not going to look at the queue right now to determine that, but that means, I'm not going to approve that post right away. That's also in the mod queue over here because it got reported. The thing about this queue is, though, it eliminates redundant work, because if you're not using the unmoderated queue and you go in here and you look and you find this post, 10 mods could look at this post and decide, oh yeah, that's great, and they're just going to keep scrolling. There's no indication that any other mod looked at that post. And that act of looking at the thing multiplied by 10 over the course of however long everyone is moderating for their lifetime adds up. It means that it doesn't mean that there's no value in two people looking at something, but there is an incredible amount of time wasted in people redundantly looking at things Because that's the thing. If we don't have confidence in individual moderators' ability to judge whether a post does or doesn't follow the rules, then we technically have bigger problems. If we do, we can leverage that to eliminate all of that redundant work and free up everyone's time to either live their lives or spend their time on the mod queue, right? Or moderating comments or dealing with meta aspects of moderating or whatever their heart desires, right? It's just that there's no way to detect that this redundant work is occurring. And that means it's just kind of this unfathomable black box that of effort that gets wasted. And unfortunately, there's no way to undo that unless everyone is using the unmoderated queue, because there's just too many posts for one person to go through. I could mass approve things, but that would disproportionately add to my moderator actions, and you wouldn't actually then be able to tell how much work I'm doing if I just did it in bulk, right? Because the other thing is you want to track how much work people are doing. Like you want to kind of give credit where credit is due or see who's active and who isn't. And you can't do that right now. You know, if someone is the most active mod and they're already doing this work technically, you have no idea. You have no idea how much of that they're doing. Which is unfortunate because I'm certain people are doing it. I'm certain they're, just as they would normally read the subreddit, right? They're looking at a post and saying, wait a minute, like, why the heck is this on here? Yeah, like it shouldn't be there, right? I'm going to remove it. Or, oh, okay, that follows the rules. Yeah, great, I'm going to approve that. There's just no indication of the latter. So that's the most concise summary I can give of what that queue is and why I think it should be a goal. It's not a light switch you can flip on. You have to have everyone on board to kind of use that. But it has great benefits. We could save a bunch of time, and I think it makes sense to reach for it if we want. So hopefully you understand how it works and my case for it, and hopefully that gives you a good impression of what Toolbox can provide and the sort of the benefits of using RES. I appreciate your time and thank you for listening to me ramble. I will see you guys on the subreddit.